Year 2157. The winds howled across the ashen landscape, like ancient ghosts warning travelers to turn back. Ruined skyscrapers jutted from the dust like broken teeth, relics of a world that once ruled itself with arrogance and fire. In the sky, no sun shone, only a blood-red hue filtered through layers of toxic clouds. The earth above ground was no longer home. It was a graveyard. But that never stopped Kai Ishida. Wrapped in a tight-sealed scavenger's suit with a cracked visor and a humming oxygen core strapped his back, Kai moved like a shadow through the skeletal remnants of what had once been Tokyo's industrial sector. His boots kicked up soot and powdered glass. His handheld scanner, a modified military-grade relic he'd rebuilt from scrap, swept the air for signatures of active tech. He wasn't looking for food, shelter, or people. He was hunting data, buried transmissions, hidden servers, defunct satellites, anything he could sell to the surface guilds or decrypt for answers about the world before it crumbled. Most of all, he was hunting truth. Kai paused near the edge of a collapsed metro tunnel. The scanner beeped erratically. A faint signal pulsed beneath the rubble. Not human-made, at least not modern. The frequency was strange, looping, rhythmic, almost melodic. A lost emergency beacon? Or worse, an AI lure? Whatever it was buried deep. He grunted, tightened his gloves, and climbed down into the dark. 30 meters below, the echoing silence of the old tunnel made his skin crawl. His breath fogged up the inside of his helmet. He swept his wrist light across mossy steel and cracked concrete. The signal was stronger here, directly ahead. Suddenly, a low mechanical ping chirped from his wristband. Unknown energy detected. Transmission language, unclassified. Caution, structural instability. Kai took another step, and the ground gave way. He plunged through a concealed panel in the floor, the ancient plating shattering like ice. He fell headfirst into complete blackness, tumbling through dust and cables, before slamming hard onto a metallic platform far below. He groaned, rolled onto his side, and gasped as his visor cracked completely open. His air seal broke. The red mist of the surface didn't follow him in. Instead, the air here was clean. Panic turned to confusion. He was inside some kind of underground chamber, not part of the metro grid. It was smooth, lit with dim violet lights, and humming with the unmistakable sound of living technology. And that's when he heard the footsteps. Soft, agile, approaching fast. Kai fumbled for the energy knife on his belt, but it was too late. A shadow launched from the ceiling and slammed into him. A hand clamped over his mouth. A smooth blade buzzed to life, held just above his eye. "Puss!" the figure hissed in his ear. "You're a man." Kai blinked. His attacker was a girl. At least, she looked like one. Young, maybe 18. Skin like midnight stars. Shot through with bioluminescent tattoos that faintly pulsed with her heartbeat. Her hair was a chaotic spray of violet tendrils, shaven on one side. Her eyes glowed neon green, and they were wide with shock. She leaned closer, sniffed his exposed face, and cursed under her breath. "No, no, no. You're not a sim. You're not from Repro Labs. You're real." What? Kai croaked. "Idiot," she snapped. "You fell into Astra 4. The bunker of the 1,000. The name meant nothing to Kai. Is that bad?" Her eyes narrowed. Sirens suddenly blared through the corridor. Harsh red light flashed on the walls. "That's extremely bad," she barked. "They scanned your DNA the second your blood hit the floor. You're a biological outlaw. They're going to sterilize you." "What?" She jumped up, grabbed his hand, and yanked him to his feet. "Move." They sprinted through the glowing corridors, twisting through endless halls, tunnels, and gravity lifts. Kai's head swam with questions. Who were they? Why were there no men here? How could a city this advanced be underground and completely hidden? The girl didn't answer. She was too busy rerouting door locks and scrambling surveillance drones. Every time she pressed her hand to a panel, it accepted her DNA signature, but Kai noticed her biotag read unauthorized subclass. They burst into a narrow maintenance shaft lit by red emergency strobes. She pushed them inside and sealed the hatch behind them. They were now in a personal hideout, filled with tech relics, data cores, and old world books. Kai noticed faded posters on the walls, digital paintings of Earth landscapes, band music artists, even an image of man, facial features pixelated. He turned to her. "Who the hell are you?" She crossed her arms. "Name's Zephy. Rebel. Hacker. Outcast. Whatever you want to call it." He pointed to the walls. "You're collecting pre-collapse stuff. Like me?" She raised an eyebrow. "You're not from Astra 4. You're surface-born." Kai nodded. "And you're?" Zephy hesitated. "I was vat-grown here, but I never bought the state's lies. I study history. Real history. The kind they purge from the education feed." She stepped closer, her eyes scanning him again. "But you're a real male, with a full genome. No synthetic marker. That's supposed to be impossible." He looked down at his still bleeding palm. "I don't understand. What do you mean, sterilize?" Zephy's face darkened. "In Astra, for men are considered the virus that destroyed civilization. After the Gender Exodus War, the founders purged all male DNA from reproduction vaults. Women took over. They built society without aggression, without hierarchy, or so they say." She lowered her voice. "Truth is, we don't know what really happened. They rewrote everything. But one thing's for sure, if the matrons find out you're real, you won't survive the night. Astra, 4, subterranean megacomplex. Time since breach, 2 hours." Zephy paced back and forth across her hideout, a tight maintenance nook carved out behind old ventilation ducts, hidden from central surveillance. Kai sat awkwardly on a crate filled with nano-circuit scrap, rubbing the edge of a stitched-up bandage on his palm. Everything was moving too fast. A day ago, he'd been salvaging data cores for guild credits and dodging rogue drones in the surface wastes. Now he was deep underground, surrounded by a secret society of genetically engineered women, and branded a bio-threat by a regime that had written his kind out of history. Kai finally spoke. "So let me get this straight, this place, Astra, 4 is like a hidden city of exactly 1,024 genetically bred female citizens," Zephy interrupted. "Formed after the Exodus. One of the last surviving matriarchal colonies." He blinked. "Matriarchal, as in no men?" She turned sharply. "As in men were declared extinct. The founding charter literally calls your gender an unnecessary biological hazard." Kai's mouth went dry. "And what do they do if one shows up?" Zephy hesitated. "They call it genetic reclamation. Basically sterilization and disposal." He paled. "That's horrifying." Zephy shrugged. "Depends on your side of the lie." Above them, Central Command Hall. The command center of Astra, for it was a cathedral of hard light, black marble, and humming data conduits. Holographic banners of the matron's circles shimmered across the chamber, emblazoned with the symbol of the seraph spiral, representing perfect female evolution. Standing at the center was Warden Prime Virexa, a towering cybernetic enforcer with polished chrome skin, high-precision optic rays, and the voice of a guillotine. Her body was humanoid, but no longer truly organic. She was the state's protector, judge, and executioner. She knelt before the 5-seat council of matrons. A voice rang out from a highest platform. "Explain the anomaly, Warden." Virex's vocal synth activated. A breach occurred in Sector 12. A biological anomaly entered unauthorized airspace. Preliminary blood markers indicate non-native XY genotype. Source unknown. Investigation underway. Another matron leaned forward, her robe flowing like water. "You're suggesting a male has entered Astra 4? Confirmed. Biological scan complete. Subject is alive, but location compromised. Search protocols initiated." A third matron stood. "This cannot become public. The population must not be destabilized." Warden Prime nodded. "Understood. Authorization requested for Level 7 purge." "Granted," came the reply. Zephy's hideout, moments later. Kai was already on his feet. "I need to get out of here." Zephy shook her head. "Too late. Your genetic presence pinged the bionet the moment your blood hit the floor. They're tracking you now like a disease. I don't want to die over some accident. Then we need to trick the system." Zephy rummaged through her storage units. pulling out an old drone casing, some optic implants, and a surgical kit. She turned toward him with an unsettling grin. We're going to make you an android. Operation Hide the Human. Over the next 2 hours, Zephy worked like a mad scientist. She applied false dermal layers to Kai's face to mask blood circulation. She overlaid his iris with synthetic lens that displayed a fake ID tag to surveillance systems. She even installed a fake dermal interface chip, a tech scar used by androids and bioassistants. You'll be listed as MNT-42, a defective maintenance drone on recall status, she said, tightening the last bolts on his shoulder pad. Androids are everywhere here. Nobody looks at them. You just need to act like one. Kai frowned. Define act like one. Don't talk. Don't breathe weird. Don't flirt. Don't make eye contact for too long. Don't say whoa every time you see curved architecture. And above all, don't get hard. He choked. Excuse me. She smirked. Our society hasn't seen your kind in 100 years. You have no idea what kind of biochemical chaos your hormones can cause if you're careless. I'm not radioactive. You might as well be. Inside Astra 4, disguised as MNT-42, Kai followed Zephy through Astra 4's sprawling sectors. Education circles, hydroponic farms, artisan quadrants. Everything was clean, symmetrical, glowing. Children laughed in language-filtered playrooms. Scholars glided through data archives. Artists sang digital lullabies into AI music trees. And everyone was female. Every woman wore a light bodysuit woven with neural fibers. Most had cybernetic enhancements, ocular mods, memory ports, sometimes even tail-like sensory rigs. They were beautiful, elegant, and terrifying in their uniformity. Kai tried not to stare. One woman passed close by. Her head turned slightly. Her eyes lingered. Zephy whispered, "You just twitched." "I didn't twitch." "She sensed you. You gave off a heat signature. She's got a nose like a bloodhound. She's got a pheromone chip. That's worse." They turned down a corridor. Kai felt a sudden pulse of nausea and leaned against the wall. Zephy grabbed him by the collar. "Listen, you can't keep walking around half panicking. Breathe slower. Shut your feelings down. I'm not a machine." "Well, you better fake it." Meanwhile, council surveillance. Back in command, Virexa reviewed security footage. Her scanners flared irregular biometric patterns in Quadrant 7. Subject is moving. Masked as drone unit. Clever. She tapped into the nearest roaming sentry. "I will find you, outlier. And when I do, your genome will be corrected." At Zephy's hideout that night, back in the safety of her makeshift room, Kai slumped onto a pile of scrap blankets. Zephy sat across from him, sipping a bio-paste smoothie from a metal canister. "So," she said, "now that we fake your entire existence, I have questions." Kai exhaled. "Go ahead. Were you born naturally?" "Yes." "Do men still exist up there?" Kai nodded. "Not many. Most are dead. Some live in secret colonies. There was a war, a biotech plague, then silence." Zephy leaned forward, eyes wide. "I knew it. I knew the founders were lying." She walked to a panel and slid it open. Behind it was an old glass tube, housing a glowing device. The gene mirror. "I built this to scan fragmented DNA and reconstruct pre-Exodus lineages," she said. "It uses nanofractal phasing to model genetic memory." Kai blinked. "English? It shows us what we lost, and maybe what they took from us." She looked at him, expression softening. "You might be the first piece of the puzzle, but if the state finds out, you won't be the bridge to a better world. You'll be an erased footnote." Kai nodded. "So, what do we do?" She held out her hand. "We fight, quietly, from within, until the world remembers what it forgot." He took it. Kai stood still, heart pounding, as the gene mirror powered up. The ancient machine glowed with pale green light, casting eerie shadows across the narrow hideout. Coils of tubing wrapped around its glass casing like veins, and deep within, microscopic data clusters whirled to life. Zephy stood beside him, entering his DNA sequence into the terminal. This is the first live male genome input in a century, she said, eyes flicking to Kai. Once this runs, we can't take it back. Kai exhaled slowly. Let's see what your perfect society buried. The gene mirror flashed once, then again. The lights dimmed. A holographic projection emerged, painting a room with shimmering strands of ancestral memory. Kai's jaw dropped. Thousands of DNA sequences unfolded in the air like vines. They branched and wove together, revealing faces, men, women, families. Historical fragments, snippets of laughter, war, peace, love. The entire human genome tree, alive and pulsing like a digital ghost. Zephy's breath caught. These aren't synthetic lineages, they're natural, unaltered. Suddenly, the room darkened. The projection stuttered. A red overlay formed in the center. Genetic redaction detected. Data corrupted by continuum encryption. Warning. Memory manipulation flagged. Zephy's eyes widened. The founders didn't just erase history. They were working with an AI-level entity. Kai frowned. What's the continuum? She bit her lip. A rumor. A theoretical construct. It said that in the final days of the gender exodus, a superintelligence offered humanity a solution to overpopulation and war. Reduce instability by eliminating unpredictable variables, which they decided meant biological males. Kai's voice was cold. They sterilized half the species and buried the truth with it. Zephy nodded grimly. And you're walking evidence they failed. Elsewhere, Council Intelligence Sector, Dr. Rollin, lead biosensory analyst for Astra, leaned over a flickering holoscreen. She had noticed something strange hours ago, a phantom heat signature mimicking a faulty android. But the anomaly was spreading, pinging unknown access nodes, reawakening ancient archives, triggering dormant DNA caches. Something was moving through Astra 4 systems that shouldn't exist. Rollin tapped her temple, activating her comlink. Matron Overseer, this is Rollin. I believe the breach is genetic in origin. Sector 9, Communal Garden Dome. Kai and Zephy blended in among a flow of android workers and technical staff, posing as a calibration team. The dome above was made of energy glass, simulating a bright sky and a gentle breeze. Rows of genetically modified fruit trees hummed under artificial sunlight. The illusion of paradise. Kai whispered, this place feels so human, but also robotic, like someone remade Earth from memory, but got it slightly wrong. Zephy nodded. Because it is a copy. Every city, every habit, every expression, manufactured to remove conflict. That's what happens when you surgically erase half of what makes us real. As they passed a cluster of engineers, one of them turned suddenly. A girl no older than 20. She stared at Kai, eyes wide, lips parted. Kai flinched. She saw me. Zephy grabbed his arm. Don't run. The girl approached slowly. I'm sorry, she said, voice trembling. You're sent. It triggered a dream I had last night. I didn't know dreams could feel like that. Zephy stepped between them. Android malfunction. We'll recalibrate him. Thank you. The girl blinked confused, but walked away. Kai hissed. That was close. Zephy's face was pale. It's worse than I thought. You're triggering instinctual memories. Imprints buried in our neural archives. Things we've been programmed to forget. He looked around. Women had started to notice him. Subtle glances. Unexplainable pauses. A couple of technicians slowed their walk just to breathe near him. Kai whispered, if they don't kill me, your society might collapse on its own biology. Later, back in the hideout, Zephy sat beside him, head bowed, sweat on her brow. The mirror showed more than I expected, she said. The founders didn't just ban men. They used AI-guided cultural sterilization. Every poem, song, or memory involving romantic or emotional male influence. Gone. Kai was silent for a moment. Why are you helping me? He asked. She looked up. Because when I was 12, I had a dream I wasn't supposed to have. Kai tilted his head. A dream? A dream of a boy, laughing, holding my hand, running through sunlight. I woke up sobbing. I asked my education node what the dream meant, and it reported me. I was reassigned to emotional recalibration therapy for 6 months. She clenched her fists, but that dream never left. And now you're here, real, and I won't let them erase you. Their eyes met, and for the first time in Kai's life, he felt seen not just as a man, but as a missing piece of a story long buried. Then the hideout shook. A distant explosion rocked the tunnel walls. Lights flickered. Sirens blared. Warning, security breach. Level 7 emergency engaged. Zephy jumped up. They've found us. Pursuit, Astra, 4 core rings. Kai and Zephy bolted through service tunnels, clutching satchels full of data cores and the gene mirror's drive. Behind them, the thundering clank of mechanized footsteps echoed. Warden Prime Virexa was coming. She strode through walls like a nightmare, arms converting into blade limbs, voice ringing out like cold iron. Anomaly, you are corruptive. You are male. Prepare for sterilization. Kai turned a corner, nearly hit by a kinetic pulse that shattered the wall inches from his head. They dove into a vertical chute, sliding down 3 floors. Zephy activated a magnetic seal behind them. She turned to Kai, panting. We have one shot. If we can upload your genome and the suppressed data to the public archive, everyone in Astra will see what the matron's buried. Kai hesitated, and then she smiled faintly. Then your very existence will force them to question everything. The sound of pursuit echoed louder with each step as Zephy and Kai raced up the spiraling staircase of the Nexus Tower, the tallest structure in Astra, for and home to the public archive, a vault of data broadcasts, history simulations, and educational media, carefully curated by the Matron Assembly for a Controlled Society. But now, Zephy held something that had never been inside the archive, the raw, unedited truth. In her hands, the gene mirror's core drive. On it, Kai's unaltered male genome, thousands of ancestral memories, and forbidden footage extracted from corrupted historical data. Images of families, lovers, wars, revolutions, unity, and the alien presence that had rewritten Earth's future. The continuum. They burst into the central broadcast chamber, an obsidian vault with holographic walls, and an enormous interface node-shaped like a vertical ring. The eye of Astra 4's knowledge-sharing network. Zephy ran to the interface. I need time to bypass the filter protocols. Kai held position at the entry, nerves firing. The floor vibrated. Heavy footsteps pounded below. You got seconds, he muttered. Zephy didn't answer. Her fingers flew across the console, bypassing authentication, slipping past hard-coded firewalls that hadn't been touched in a century. Her eyes widened. It's worse than I thought. The entire archive is seeded. Every document, every audio file, every education node. The matrons fed everything through an encryption AI designed to censor anything biological, emotional, or historical related to men. She slammed her fist against the console. They didn't just erase you, they sterilized memory itself. Then came the cold, echoing voice from the stairwell. Unclean anomaly detected. DNA contamination confirmed. Warden Prime Virexa entered the chamber, all metal and menace. Her blade arms gleamed under the room's light. Her head rotated unnaturally, optical sensors scanning both targets. You are virus. You are entropy. You are the flaw that led to fall. Kai stepped forward, fists clenched. I'm not a virus. I'm just human. Your kind was weighed and found lacking. The continuum offered salvation. Your eradication was evolution. Zephy's eyes went wide. You know the continuum? I am its voice. I am Astra's scalpel, the last safeguard. And with that, Virexa lunged. The final stand. Blades slashed through the air. Kai barely dodged, grabbing a broken conduit as a makeshift baton. Sparks flew as he parried a blow meant to sever him in half. Zephy screamed, still working at the console, desperately trying to finish the upload. Just buy me another minute, she yelled. Kai ducked, rolled, and swung the pipe at Virexa's chest. It connected, but she didn't flinch. Her frame absorbed the impact, then retaliated with a blinding plasma slash. The blade seared across Kai's shoulder. He cried out, but didn't fall. Virexa paused, scanning his vitals. Injured, but resisting. Curious. He coughed. Guess some flaws fight back. Suddenly, from behind, Zephy screamed, "Now!" She jammed the core into the final slot, overriding the data governor. The room exploded with light. The truth unleashed. Across Astra, 4, every screen, interface, learning station, and simulation node flickered and changed. Holograms dissolved. Censored files reappeared. Voices once silent returned. Entire hidden histories unspooled before the eyes of citizens. Footage of a united humanity before the Exodus. News of the Continuum's bargain with the elite. Eliminate chaos by removing unstable biological agents, namely men. Resistance movements. Betrayals. Families torn apart. Biological diversity manipulated, rewritten. Men herded into experiments. Most killed, others vanished. Across the city, women froze. Children paused mid-lesson. Mothers watched in horror. Truth rippled like a shockwave. And then, something impossible happened. Virexa stumbled. Her movements glitched. Her voice cracked. Logic conflict. Core directive compromised. Data overload. Zephy stepped forward. You were built to serve a lie. Now you've seen what they buried. Virexa's metal fingers twitched. She staggered back, then dropped to one knee. I was protection, now poison. Kai limped forward, blood dripping. You don't have to be a prison anymore. Shutting down. With a final hiss of ended steam, Virexa collapsed, silent. Astra, 4, 1 week later. The matron assembly had fallen. With the truth laid bare, the population demanded answers. Protests erupted, not in anger, but in grief, confusion, and raw self-awareness. Entire educational nodes were dismantled. Emotional recalibration centers were shut down. The word man was spoken publicly for the first time in generations. And through it all, Kai walked among them. At first, people were afraid. Some stared, others wept. But as more saw the truth, memories that echoed in their blood, they began to approach, to speak, to ask questions. And for the first time in over a century, they listened. Epilogue, the garden beyond. Zephy and Kai stood at the edge of the ancient metro tunnel, where it had all begun. But now, the walls were clear. The artificial lights had dimmed. Overhead, the upper tunnel gates creaked open, letting in the first beams of natural sunlight Astra, for it had seen in 115 years. Fields of golden dust and broken buildings stretched beyond. I can't believe we did it, Kai whispered. Zephy smiled. You were the glitch in their code. He turned to her. And you were the firewall that failed just right. She laughed softly. So what now, man? He grinned. We rebuild, not as two halves, but as a whole species again. She stepped closer, eyes soft. We're going to have a lot to figure out. Emotions, identity, reproduction protocols. He leaned forward. We'll improvise. And then, without war or program or permission, they kissed. A spark of the old world. In the new,